What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hammerstein and today is my review here of the Oppo Find X8 phone. A phone that I've been using for a couple of weeks already, and I want to share with you my thoughts and my opinions, and I'd like to break it down into four main segments over here just to give you guys a more comprehensive overview of how this phone has been for me over the last few weeks. So yes, without further ado, let's just get right into it. So first things first, before we go on, let's talk about the price of the Find X8 over here. So in Malaysia, it does go for about 35.99 ringgit Malaysia, which would place it at about the $800 mark. So it is at the flagship level, so-called the entry level for the flagship level kind of phone. And I think this phone here does a really great job. So the first segment that I do want to talk about here is of course the holding experience. Basically how the phone would feel in your hand on a daily basis. And what I can say is that it feels really good. That's what she said. So what I mean about this is that it definitely feels like a very good premium phone. A phone that you expect to pay $1,000 or above over here, and it feels really nice in your hand. First thing I noticed is, of course, yes, the design is very similar to a familiar brand that we already used to know. And I do like this design over here because it does give you a very modern approach. And I think this is not too far away from many of the flagship level phones out there. I do like the nice finish to it as well. You have a nice matte black over here on this phone to give you that nice premium finish. So definitely going out here without a phone case, you're not going to have to worry about it because the fingerprints don't get smudgy on the back here, which is really something I really do like. Of course, on the front, we have very good protection here. We have the Victus 2 glass, so you don't have to worry about getting the scratches or some cracks if you do break it without the phone case. And what I like about this is that the overall feel on the sides here as well feels really comfortable, very nice. Like I mentioned before, you have your nice aluminium finish all around this phone, so it feels really cool, and it also feels very comfortable. The only thing that I was actually very disappointed with this phone is the fact that they don't have the side mounted fingerprint scanner here, because usually flat sides here would be a better approach because it's easier to reach, and you just have more surface area to put the fingerprint scanner over there, which is something you don't have. We have an under display fingerprint scanner, which isn't too bad, but for me it's a little bit too low for my liking over here. I did wish it was could have been maybe 1 cm higher than it should be for a more comfortable and easier to approach fingerprint scanner, but other than that, it's actually not too bad. For the other buttons over here, what I want to talk about is the volume rockers. Again, because of the button placement, it is a little bit higher than my normal hand. Even this phone is not the biggest, but it is still a little bit of a stretch to go to the volume rockers over here and also the power button. And of course, if we go on to the other side here, we have the alert slider, something they have adopted from a familiar company here as well. I like this approach here. It's very nice, very convenient to move around your different profiles in terms of if you want your vibration mode, you want your silent mode, or you want your ring mode when you are in maybe meetings or calls, or in case if you're looking forward to a call. So definitely this one here, the alert slider, helps a lot. And overall, just the feel of it, like it has good weight to it as well to give it again that premium feel. Very nice finish, and to be honest, I really like this phone without the phone case. But of course, if you do want to use the phone case on this, it's not too bad because they do give you a nice matte black phone case over here. Very nice and grippy. They give you like more of a sandstone finish, so definitely it's also really nice to use this phone case over here. And most of the time, sometimes they give you like a simple silicone see-through case, but this one here is very nice, and it does suit the phone over here, the Find X phone design. And I'm going to say that the camera bumps here, it is a bit large, and what I like about this is, of course, when you want to rest your fingers over here when you're using your phone, it definitely helps a lot because it does give you your finger support when you're doing this. So overall, when it comes to the holding experience on this, I would give it a solid 9 out of 10. Right, so next up over here, let's talk about the viewing experience. So basically, I'm going to cover the display, speakers, and also the haptics on this phone. So haptic wise, it's really good, especially when you're talking about flagship level. I think this is where it kind of shines through because the haptics on this is really nice, especially if you're going through your social media, your keypads, or maybe if you're doing some gaming as well. The haptics on this is really nice. When it comes to the speakers here, this is where it kind of gets a little bit of a mixed bag here. Yes, you do have your stereo speaker setup, you do have your nice stereo speakers here as well. So it does give you a more surround sound when you're listening to your videos or when you're watching movies or whatsoever. So it's also really, really nice. But I really wish that they've made it a little bit clearer, give it a little bit more dynamicism when you're watching your videos here. It does get pretty loud and clear, but I did wish that they'd given us a little bit more clarity and a bit more dynamism when you're coming for the speakers over here. When it comes to the display here, yes, you would expect this to give you a very good display, seeing that it is a flagship phone. And yes, you definitely get a good display. Your colors come out really nice. And of course, it does give you a large display, even though it's only 6.59 inch, but you still get a lot of good screen ratio over here, which is something I really do enjoy. Watching content over here, going through your social media, reading through your emails, and doing your multitasking is actually really, really fun with this phone. And I would say this size here is actually very nice. It's not too large like your many other flagship phones, but it's not too small either. So it's definitely very nicely optimized in the middle. I think this is where it kind of shines through, because most flagship phones would give you a huge display, but this one here I think is really nice for most people. And of course, one of the major things when it comes to Oppo phones this year is the fact that they do have your Aqua Touch technology. Very, very helpful. I was in a concert with Imagine Dragons for a couple of days ago, and one thing I really hated it is because it was raining mad, and I couldn't touch my other phones because it was just like getting water around and it couldn't register. But of course, with this phone, it's so much easier. Like you want to use the camera app, they kind of already calibrated, and of course, just use the software to know which one is your finger anyway. So you can actually still scroll through your phone even with a lot of water on the display here. An amazing technology. A lot more phones should be doing this, and I really like it here with the Find X8. So definitely overall, when it comes to the display here, the viewing experience is very solid. And again, I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. Okay, so next up over here, let's talk about the user experience. So basically, I'm going to cover the hardware and software side of things. Hardware-wise, as you would expect from this phone, it performs really, really nice. So of course, you have your MediaTek Dimensity over here on the 9000 series. So definitely that means it is a flagship level. So expect performances here to be really good, very fast, very snappy. And I do like the smoothness that does come with this phone. Like you're just going through your social media, going back to the home screen or whatever, it feels really, really smooth. So this is something I really do like. Multitasking here is also really good. With the extra RAM turbo feature, I don't think it's maybe a gimmick or whatever, but it feels really, really nice. You can of course go switch between apps with not much of a problem whatsoever. Of course, certain times in the day, like if you have it on from the beginning of the day, and maybe even do it on the midday as well, you try to open up the tab. Sometimes it gets refreshed, sometimes it doesn't. So I think the RAM management here is really, really good. And of course, when it comes to the software side of things, you do have a lot of customization as well. You have AI features over here as well, your AI rubber, the eraser mode, and all this cool stuff. Really, really fun. And I do like it here that with your phone nowadays, you have your AI stuff, which you can just kind of play around and, you know, just use it more than just a phone, which is something I really do like. Another thing that I do want to talk about here is, yes, there is some little heating issues I noticed with this phone. I do notice it a lot with the MediaTek phones, that the standby battery isn't the greatest, especially when you're like just leaving your phone overnight. I do tend to notice that it does happen more with the MediaTek phones compared to like maybe the Snapdragons, where the battery would drain a little bit more, and sometimes if you just leave it too ideal in a so-called warm environment, it does kind of heat up. But when you're going through your gaming or going through your social media, you won't really have as much problem. But this is something you might want to look into, especially if you're in a more hotter climate like me here in Malaysia. If you're in the colder one, I don't think they're going to have a lot of problems over there. So in terms of another thing that I do want to talk about here is of course the battery performance. So basically I'm going to talk about the battery life and also the charging speed here. So when it comes to battery life, we have a massive over here, 5630. So it's really, really fast. I mean, of course, it's really, really huge. So it definitely is able to give you a full day of usage over here on a so-called smaller phone form factor like this. So definitely it's really helpful to give you extra battery life here to go through your daily experience. And of course, you can charge this out with the 80-watt SuperVOOC charger. Really, really helpful because yes, you have to use the proprietary charger, but of course, you can just use it once a day. Maybe when you got back home, you want to take a bath or whatsoever, just plug it in, do your bath thing for about 10 minutes or whatsoever, and it will be able to give you a full day of usage, which is really, really cool. The only sad thing about the Oppo chargers is the fact that you have to use their SuperVOOC chargers. Most of the time, if you're using your normal super fast chargers, even with the GAN chargers, it doesn't really work well with this. It does still charge up pretty fast, but not as fast as a SuperVOOC charger. So overall, it's still pretty decent. So overall on this, I would say that the user experience on this is a solid 8 out of 10. Okay, so last but not least over here, let's talk about the cameras on the Oppo Find X8, and I think this is where this kind of separates itself from the other competitors. Of course, we have the huge Hasselblad logo over here to give you a more natural and more accurate shot when you're taking photos over here, and I really like it. I brought this around for my Imagine Dragons concert, and I'm zooming in and zooming out. I got to say, I'm really impressed with the cameras over here. Even at about 3 or 6 times the zoom, 10 times the zoom, it still does give you very good sharp images and a lot of details, which is something I really do like, because especially nowadays, we want to go outside, not just the ultra wide shots, but we want to go out there, take a little bit more close-up photos and all this, and I think it really delivers really nice. Portraits on this as well is really nice. I gotta say that the skin tone and the way they kind of give you that bokeh effect and the so-called studio lighting and all that works really well with this. I was really impressed with the shots over here. Very sharp, very nice details, very nice color as well. Something really they have done well with the Find X8 series, which I really do like. When it comes to the selfie side here, it's not too bad. Most China phones will give you the extra smoothing effect, and even if you kind of just bake it to go all the way down to your default settings at 0, reset it at 0. But I know some people, they like that effect a lot as well, especially here in Asia. So definitely that is a cool feature to have. But overall, I gotta say the cameras here are really good. In terms of the video wise, it's not the best when it comes to 4K recording, but when it comes to just 1080p at 60 FPS, it delivers really nice, good video stabilization over here, which is I think more than most people would ask for. So overall, when I would say for this phone, when it comes to flagship level, people want to buy this for their phone cameras, I think this is a really good bet over here because it does give you a lot of good shots and also good software side stuff over here. So overall, when it comes to the camera experience of this, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. Alright, so that is it with the Oppo Find X8 phone. And what I think about this phone right here, and should I... Alright, so that is it with my review here of the Oppo Find X8 phone. And of course, the ultimate question is, should you go out and buy it? For about 3,600 ringgit Malaysia, 800 USD, it's going up against, we know, the Pixel 9s, it's going up the S24s, the iPhone 16s, and all these other things. And I think what it does kind of stand out here is, of course, the software, the battery health over here, and of course, when it comes to the cameras. I think the cameras does kind of fare well with other brands, and also definitely the Hasselblad over here does give it a little bit more gravitas, a little bit more kind of credibility when it comes to taking shots over here. And I gotta say that the cameras here does work really nice, and I think it's a matter of personal preference when it comes to the shots over here. I wouldn't say it's the worst, I wouldn't say it's the best, but definitely it's for most people over here. Other than that, when it comes to the battery life, it performs really nice, and of course the charging speed. Other than that, I think it's pretty much equal with other kind of phones in this price range. So it's all up to you. And of course, here they have promised you about 5 years of software updates. Really amazing for a phone like this because you know you can use it for a long-term basis. Of course, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. And of course, you guys want to share your experience, do so in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't click the like and smash the subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next one.